Do you feel lost and confused when it comes to your gender identity or even your sexuality? So you resort to the internet to answer these questions for you? That's what we're talking about in today's video, and what the problem is with self-identifying with labels you find on the internet. Hello everyone, my name is Autumn Asphodel and I am a coach to help you live your best life and find your true self. And we're talking about identifying via labels you find online for your gender or even your sexuality, so enjoy the video. You're confused about your gender or even sexuality, and you decide to look online for help, only to discover that thousands of genders that supposedly exist. You begin to find a few that you feel define you and start to associate with them. You finally feel like you have the answer. But the problem is that you've resorted to the internet to find labels to define you, instead of you defining yourself. You let someone else determine who you are, instead of finding yourself. You have self-identified with what you read online and claim that defines you. But does it really? This happens not just with gender identity, but also with physical and mental health disorders. This was discussed in our topic titled Internet Mental Disorders, Self-Diagnosing via the Internet. When we feel lost and different from others, we resort to the internet to answer our questions. This immediately prevents us from actually finding the correct answer, since the true answer is always from within. But resorting to the internet and other people's opinions, comments, and information all leads us in a downward spiral of trying to redefine ourselves, but this time from a suggestible state where anything we read online we begin to associate with. The truth is, no amount of information we find online will actually define who we are, and thus, it is a dead end. But our need for answers due to fear of the unknown overtakes us and has us identify as things that our conscious mind knows doesn't make sense. At one point or another, there are plenty of people who question their gender and their sexuality. They may think, am I really a female? Am I really a male? Am I straight, bisexual, gay, whatever else? And these questions often happen during puberty, which is a very reasonable time because that is the time that you're starting to go, hormones are starting to increase in your body, whether it be female hormones, estrogen, or male hormones, testosterone, or whatever else is going on, and you begin to, start to develop a sex drive, and all these changes are starting to happen. So that is the time you will often question these things. So when that happens, a lot of people these days will end up resorting to the internet to give them labels, to identify. And that has created a whole slew of different labels. And most of these labels are all variations of male and female. You have male and you have female. There are no other genders. But within that, you're going to have variations. There's the spectrum that people can identify on. And when it comes to that, when you're resorting to the internet to try to identify how you feel about yourself, what ends up happening is a lot of these different labels that essentially mean all these very specific things that don't have to mean those specific things end up starting to arise and come up, which can be very problematic because the world has become so confusing when it comes to gender, when it's actually a very simple thing. At the core of all these genders, however, are the two that do exist, which are male and female. Much like you have the various terms for day and night, such as sunrise, morning, noon, evening, night, midnight, and so on, they are all part of the day and night. The gender identities found online are all variations of male and female, with different terms applied to them. But there is still only male and female, and that cannot change as that is the rule that governs all living life forms, with the ability to reproduce and keep the species alive, and humans are no different. While that may seem disappointing and invalidating, rest assured that that is the most validating thing you can do is discover the true answers within. You are a unique individual and deserve to express yourself the way you feel you are. However, you shouldn't resort to the internet to define you. Most of the time, it's the younger generation that does this because all these genders didn't appear until after there was widespread access to the internet. This is why there is an increasing number of people who identify as genders outside male and female, and also why mental health issues are very high among this group. Another reason someone may try to find an answer online and identify as an obscure gender is because they want to seem valid, unique, and special. There's nothing wrong with desiring these things, but we are already unique and special since every single person is different from one another. You don't need a term to tell you this and flaunt it, because all that does is make you more of an outcast since you're not being your true authentic self, and thus more mental health issues come about when identifying as these alternative genders. Instead of letting others define who you are, bringing you down and making you feel depressed, instead focus on what's important, which is your own happiness. Tune out all the nonsense that people say to bring you down and get the answers you seek from within, because that is the only place you'll find them. Let me know how this works for you. Have a great day. Back when I was younger and my parents and grandparents were younger, these other genders did not exist. This is something that is part of the age of the internet, where a lot of people who perhaps feel very down or very confused can put information up online that perhaps convinces other people that they are the same. And in other cultures, other societies, you will find that these other genders do not exist. When it comes to your gender, of course, there are going to be times that you question it. But the internet is not going to give you the answers. The answers are not going to come from someone online who says that their pronouns are they and them, which are not grammatically correct pronouns. Instead, they're going to come from within you. If you're listening to outside sources telling you that you're gender fluid, that you're male for one moment and you're female the next, then that could be something much more serious that you're not actually going internally to figure out why you're feeling that way. And the thing is, that is not a healthy way to be going about things, to be looking on the internet for an answer, because you're not going to find the answers there. All you're going to be left away with is a bunch of confusion, a bunch of labels that really don't mean much of anything, and you're going to drift away from who you truly are. Instead, the answers come from within you. If you feel a certain way besides male and female, maybe there's something else, the reason why you feel that a sort of way. And if there's something else going on, some sort of trauma or some sort of issue that happened, maybe that explains some of the problems that have arisen when it comes to you questioning your gender identity. Gender does not have to be complex. It is not complex. You have male and you have female, and there's going to be some variations here and there when it comes to how you identify. But we don't need all these different labels. All these labels clutter and make it so confusing for anyone else who doesn't understand. Be sure to check out the amazing merchandise over at Asphodel Shop for some inspiring designs. I'm sure you'll find some interesting things. Also, become a member of $5 up and above to get early access to new content weeks and months ahead of anyone else. And I want to thank you also very much for tuning into this video. Now, I know this video may be a bit more controversial, so to speak, because I'm sure that there are a decent amount of people who may identify as non-binary or gender fluid or whatever other genders that, perhaps exist out there. But, the truth of the matter is, I think if we keep it simple, and I think if we learn to accept each other's differences, as well as learning to not look at the internet, I think we would be much healthier, much happier with ourselves, and not so confused about who we truly are. So thank you so very much. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.